Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Monday morning. It's now the 7th day of July, 2025. This is the morning briefing coming to you from the home weather office and looking out the window this morning. Blue sky, not much in the way of a breeze. It's a warm morning, and we are going to have a pretty warm day, but all in all, the next couple of days will continue to be comfortable. We'll continue to see whether or not there's going to be some heat at the end of the week. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Also going to talk about fires going on in California and whether or not our area may be impacted by any smoke later on this week. But what I wanted to start with this morning is some of you in the comments section have asked me to weigh in on what happened in Texas back on Thursday night, Friday morning. And I thought about doing, showing you the radar and the satellite and all of that sort of thing. But a lot of people have done that already. And what I will do is I will post a link here in the description to a really good blog about what happened, as well as attribution here and there. The one thing I did want to mention, however, is in reading about this event over the weekend, I can't believe what I'm seeing online with people blaming the Weather Service for not putting out warnings, which is flat out wrong. That saying the Weather Service wasn't staffed correctly, flat out wrong. That this was somehow man-made, flat out wrong. That this is unprecedented, again, flat out wrong. That river has flooded in the past and sometimes catastrophically. So there is so much that has gone into this, and it has just really spiraled out of control. So I don't even want to get into it in any depth, but I will post a link to this. This is a guy named Cliff Mass. He has a weather blog here, and I will post this, and he goes through the whole thing here, and he goes into the event, he goes into the warnings that were put out by the NWS and that sort of thing. So if you want to deep dive into somebody that knows what they're talking about, I will post this link. But yeah, there is, it's a tragedy, and it makes me shake my head about when people start finger pointing and blaming for a natural event. I don't know. So with that, I didn't really want to, even get into it any deeper. So with that, I'm going to press on to what is going on in our weather right now. Here's how it looks from above first thing this morning. We do have clear skies through the valley as well as in the Sierra. Nice marine layer along the coast. Fire here, this is the green fire. A couple of fires are going on to the north. I'll talk more about these in a second. These were started by lightning last week. We talked about that as well. And then also the fire going on down south. Well, as you can see, there's not much in the way of smoke down here, the Madre fire. So let's talk a little bit about fire. This is a great site. Not sure how many of you use it or are aware of it. This is called Watch Duty. This is the desktop version. There is a version that I have on my phone. So this is the Madre fire. They say it's 80,000 acres, but it's 30% contained. And as you saw from the satellite, there's not a lot of smoke coming out of it. So they've probably got a pretty good handle on that. Otherwise, if you zoom out here, you see other fires going on, and you see the cluster of fires going on to the north. The one that is putting up the most smoke this morning is called the Green Fire, and this is one we're going to have to keep an eye on. Right now, it's 1,300 acres, almost 1,400 acres, but no containment. And then if you look down on this side of the screen, they talk all about the ops going on, the operations going on. This is just a great site, and this will go back to the beginning of the event. So you can click on any fire and go through the fire progression, resources that they've called for. So this, for instance, is from 4 days ago. Fire activity burned through the night, that sort of thing. So that way you can find out what's going on with any fire, and you can also look at the archive of what's going on. But it's the Green Fire that we're probably going to have to keep an eye on over the next few days to see what's going on with the smoke. Let me go back to the satellite here, and you'll see that here is the green fire right here. And you can see this morning with the drainage winds, that smoke has drained down into the area around Redding. Now, over the next couple of days, the smoke is generally going to be staying to the north. However, we'll have to see how far south this begins to drift. So during the day today, this will likely get shifted back out. I got to see which tab I have open. Is this the right one? Wow, this is the right one. I have so many, nope, that's not the right one. I have so many tabs open. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place this morning. I'll get back to the smoke in just a second, but since I have the marine layer opened up here, yep, the marine layer is at 2,000 feet. That's really helpful. That'll help to keep temperatures in nice range today. Let's see if I can find the one I'm looking for. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. All right, so this is the winds at around 10,000 feet. So this is the 700 millibar winds. So I'm showing you this because of the smoke, gets elevated during the course of the day today. So we'll look at 10,000 foot winds and look at the winds up here. They're coming from the south and southeast because of a low spinning around down here. Over the next couple of days, this is into the day tomorrow, we have more south winds, which keep the winds, the smoke from those fires in the afternoon going to the north. And that'll be true also during the day on Wednesday, although the winds turn a little bit more southwest. However, as we get into the day on Thursday, those winds turn from the north. So we don't know what the status of the fire is going to be on Thursday, but keep an eye on that fire, the green fire, because if we start to get into a north flow aloft, that's at 10,000 feet, and I think we also have the same thing at 5,000 feet, come down to 850 millibars. We also have a light north flow. It's not like we're talking about big north winds, but we're talking about just enough of north flow to direct where the smoke is going to go. So there's a potential, I'm not going to say it's going to happen right now, but there's a potential by the end of the week, if that fire is still going on or if it's bigger and that sort of thing, that we may see some smoke come down into the valley. Let's talk a little bit about the bigger picture here. I'm going to back this up to the beginning. So here's that low spinning around down here, helping to keep our temperatures in check and helping to keep the big high off to our east. As long as this stays over around the Four Corners area down toward Phoenix, and we have a low here, our temperatures stay nice. So today, tomorrow, and even Wednesday, we should stay in a really nice range, near average for this time of year, low 90s. Wednesday, maybe a little bit warmer. This is Wednesday night. That low finally begins to move out, and so then by Thursday and Friday, with this high sitting down here, we still have some westerly flow here. This is up around 18,000 feet, 20,000 feet. So you don't have the big ridge at this point to pump the temperature up to around 105 or 108, but you also don't have that deep trough to keep us down around 90. So therefore, on Thursday, Friday, and maybe through the weekend, we'll be seeing valley temperatures up around, that 100, 102, 103 range. There's a chance that maybe by the end of the weekend and early next week, we may see that come up a little bit higher, but that's still a week away. And keep in mind that last week we were talking about a pattern like this perhaps developing by Wednesday of this week, but that isn't going to happen, most likely. Okay, good. My tabs this morning are not highlighted as well, and I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got like 12 tabs open here at the top, so it's like guessing which one is the right one. All right, so I'm going to talk about the wind at the surface here. So here's the light onshore flow we have this morning. I'll go to 5 o'clock this afternoon. And so we have the nice delta breeze. Temperatures today should actually run maybe even a little bit lower than yesterday. And let me go back to that. This is what I wanted to show you. So here we are doing pretty nicely. This is what we had over the weekend, 96, 96, then 85, 86, 88, 94. So at Executive Airport in Sacramento, so far this year, we have had 3 days at or above 100. We had 2 in May, we had 1 in June, none so far in July. For Executive Airport, by this time last year, we'd already had 10 and we had, I think, a 106 and a 106 for the third and fourth last year. So this is nice. So we're doing pretty good so far, but we are going to see temperatures change a little bit as we get into the end of the week. So as long as we have that marine layer and we have the onshore breeze, that's not the one I want. I can actually close that tab, so I go to this one. Yeah, it's Monday. All right, so this is that's the Delta breeze today, and then this is the Delta breeze on Wednesday afternoon. Maybe not quite as vigorous, breezy again on the east side of the Sierra. Here's where the fire is burning. You'll see that fire, the smoke, once again with that south wind going off to the north. But let's go into Thursday afternoon and see how that changes. Very light wind in the valley, not much of an onshore breeze. And so it's really Thursday, Friday we'll have to pay attention to for the possibility of maybe getting a little bit of smoke down into the valley. So a lot of things to keep in track of this week. The possibility of some warmer afternoons at the end of the week. But again, we're kind of putting that off to Thursday, Friday now, and maybe the weekend. We'll have to keep an eye on that smoke. And again, I'll post a link to a really good description of what happened on Friday in Texas. Again, just a horrible event. But there's a lot of complexity to it in terms of the forecasting, the alerting, and all that sort of thing. I will say one thing. I just thought of this. That one of the other thoughts I had about this is that the warnings from the National Weather Service came out. The first one was around, I think, 12:30 in the morning or something like that, and the warning was around 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So what I want you guys to think about is, how would you hear about an alert, a warning that came out at 4 o'clock in the morning? For a lot of parts of the country, the NOAA weather radio is very important because you're going to have tornadoes in the middle of the night, and the NOAA weather radio, when there's a warning like that, an alert like that, it'll sound an alarm. And so maybe you ought to think about getting a NOAA weather radio. So when a warning comes out, you'll know about it immediately. Because, when I was doing TV, if there's a warning, okay, we can hop on TV. Well, yes, there's television on at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sure that the television stations in Austin were on, and San Antonio were on at 4:30 in the morning, documenting this and putting out the alerts, but not too many people were watching. I'm sure a lot of people were sleeping. So that's the thing that I fear, is that a lot of people slept through the alerts that were being put out from the National Weather Service. So again, I think that's something else that needs to be looked into a little bit more, is how the alerts that the Weather Service are putting out were actually being received by people. But something you ought to think about yourself is, if a warning comes out at a time that you're not watching television, you're not looking at things online, that sort of thing, how are you going to hear about that? And a NOAA weather radio or any sort of other alert that you can get for an app and that sort of thing, that would be helpful. Just something to think about. That's everything I've got for you this morning on this beautiful Monday morning. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.